Adventures begin with adventures beyond. Adventures beyond belief. Adventures beyond dispute. Adventures beyond the realm of science. This is Adventures Beyond. Join the Adventures Beyond team of paranormal investigators as they take you on a journey across the globe to delve into enigmatic mysteries of the macabre. The Adventures Beyond team's first case takes them to quite possibly America's most haunted graveyard, armed with an arsenal of state-of-the-art technology.
I have a 60 hertz magnetic field meter, and I have infrared, ultraviolet, visible light, a seismograph, and a static EMF meter.
Feel a bristling chill as you experience the extraordinary graveyard seance.
Are you trying to tell us that you are a female?
I'm getting a major chill right
23 degrees
on the
Can you spell your name for us? I have a really cold spot right on my shoulder, my left shoulder.
The Adventures Beyond team's next case takes them from a cold spot to a chilling place, and from the U.S. to the U.K. as the team challenges
the most evil castle in Europe. We're the only ones that have permission to spend the night in there. What I want to do is take our equipment in there, and if there's anything in there, I want to see if we can shake it up.
Well, rather you than me.
When I looked away to my right, I seen the shadow of a man standing here. And when he got an arm's length from us, I stepped to the side and disappeared in the wall behind us.
as technology inexplicably fails.
But I would suspect that the camera is fried.
All right, why don't we try it the old-fashioned way then? What we're going to do is an old-fashioned seance.
And temperature inexplicably falls.
11.
We're at?
Right here.
That shouldn't happen, Ken. I haven't got anything more than a 4-degree difference all night long.
4 degrees.
Keep it going, Ken.
2 degrees.
There's something around here then.
5, 4, 8, 7, 6. There's no reason for that. 7, 5, 3 degrees, 5 degrees. We got it now. 7, 10, 7, 10, 9, 8, 11, 8, 7, 5, 3 degrees, 4.
Something's got that going.
Our renowned psychic senses the unseen evil.
What are you feeling right here in this spot?
So terror and horror threatening.
Hello, I'm Tyler Pauly, your guide for this journey we call Adventures Beyond. Throughout mankind's existence on this planet, he has pondered upon another realm, apparent at moments or in a fleeting glimpse, seemingly just outside or beyond our senses. Only now has man's tool-making talents brought him technologies capable of extending our limited senses to distant dimensions. What was once beyond the realm of science has now become a laboratory for the Adventures Beyond investigative team as they travel the globe to confront and capture eerie phenomenon associated with these age-old mysteries. Armed with only the most modern sensing equipment ever taken into the field, we invite you to come along as we step beyond the known boundaries into another domain lying just out of reach. Until now.
In a remote and secluded, near-forgotten backwoods in the Midwest, known only as Graveyard X, the most nerve-rattling seance ever caught on video is about to take place. While little is known about this graveyard, which dates to the 1800s, it does possess a history of foreboding light phenomenon as far back as locals can recall. From the comfort and safety of your easy chair, you are about to join the Adventures Beyond team of paranormal investigators as we confront what until now had been beyond the realm of science. Utilizing a vast array of state-of-the-art technology, you are about to experience what is considered by many as a scientific breakthrough in the exploration of new paranormal frontiers, as you witness what may be the most intense evidence ever recorded of the existence of the supernatural. So prepare yourself for a 21st century assault on the mystery of the ages as the Adventures Beyond team explores the science of the seance.
cemetery was started in the 1860s. A passing wagon train, of all things, a child died on the wagon train, and a local farmer buried her here on a hill in the cemetery, right over here behind us, in fact. And the cemetery started up around that. It was brought to my attention about a year ago by a local man who had heard stories about strange lights here in the cemetery. He came out here, took some photos, and came back with some pretty amazing stuff. We came out after that, and every time we've been here in the cemetery, we have taken some pretty incredible photographs of what it is we don't know.
The photos you are seeing here, which were taken by Troy Taylor just prior to this investigation, along with their negatives, were personally submitted by Bob Schott to Kodak's Technical Analyst Division for examination. The phantom cloud-like images appearing in these photographs were taken under perfectly clear skies and were not visible to the eye at the time. The photos were returned with no explanation for the anomalous apparitions. The results were as follows. The film was manufactured correctly and without incident, as indicated by the edge printing, which is the film identification and frame numbering on the edges. The normal density of the edge printing on your negatives indicates the film was capable of recording consistent, quality images and was processed correctly. But the most shocking discovery is yet to come, as it appears that whatever this image is, taken just prior to the beginning of the seance, it would soon make another appearance.
Well, when we first arrived here, while we were setting up, we've got some interesting readings off of our equipment. This is an Amiga OS 521. It's a very sophisticated infrared thermal gun. And what it does is it records sudden temperature changes instantaneously.
We've come up here with similar equipment, used it, got the same kind of temperature drops from 50 to 60 degrees less than what it should be, and we've been able to use the thermal scanner and the camera to come up with some pretty incredible proof that there's something bizarre about this cemetery.
Usually, one of the things that are associated with paranormal phenomena are sudden changes in temperature. Normally, although one would think that cemeteries would be the ideal place, they're usually the least likely place where you pick up phenomena. But in this case, it appears that there's some anomalous energy factors that are taking place here. So we're going to set up, we're going to take some readings, and we'll see what happens. Mesa set up, Tim?
Sure is. She's ready. She's running. I have a 60 hertz magnetic field meter. Then I have infrared, ultraviolet, visible light, a seismograph, and a static EMF meter.
What's the range on the EM?
That's 0 to 0.5 hertz.
And the magnetic?
The magnetic is on 60 hertz.
Well, this is the area where Troy said he picked up most of the anomalous phenomena, so hopefully we'll get some readings.
So?
All right, well, let's get some of the gear out, and we'll check with you. If you see anything, holler.
Okay.
Okay, what we're going to try here is a simple seance. And don't worry about not doing this before, because really there are no such thing as experts in this field, no matter what they say. I don't care who they are. And the whole idea is this: we're centrally located to the area of phenomenon that Troy has picked up on many occasions. So the whole idea behind this is to see that if any of this energy that we're picking up on recording devices, and he just got a spike on Mesa, which we'll have to analyze later, has any intelligence behind it. This is not a surefire method, but it's one method of communication. Okay, keep this rolling. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the night scope on, and we're going to shut the light off, please. And Charlie, Nancy, Teresa, stay where you are, and we'll keep the questions going. Okay, the temperature's started to drop, right?
Yeah, oh yeah.
We're rolling, and I can see the board very clearly, folks. Nancy, ask it the question that Teresa and I asked it.
Are you trying to communicate with us?
Ask it, Nancy, if it's an intelligent being that happens to be trapped and would like to communicate with us.
Are you an intelligent being who wants to communicate with us? Are you trapped?
The cold's coming down lower, Bob.
All right.
Lower than it was.
Are we getting an answer?
It's very slow movement.
Well, it'll start off that way.
Please keep trying. If you want to communicate with us, keep trying.
Are there more than one energy forms in this area?
Now, right above you.
Are there more than one energy forms in this area?
It's really moving quickly.
Are there more than one energy forms in this area?
22 degrees, 21 degrees.
Mike, what are you getting? Are there more than one energy forms in this area?
Right on my back.
Well, you got 20 degrees.
Are there more than one energy forms in this area? Yes or no?
Are there more than one energy forms in this area? We're here to try to communicate with you. How many energy forms are there in this area?
I mean, like really bad, like an ice
Keep your
cube on
fingers
my
on
back
it.
right here.
Get that reading on him, Troy. What do you got, Mike?
Right here on my
Are you
corner.
rolling, Ken?
Yes, I am
On my
rolling.
left shoulder.
Okay.
22 degrees here.
Are you trying to tell us that you are a female? Are you trying to tell us that you are a female? Are you trying to tell us that you are a female?
I'm getting a major chill right
23 degrees
Can
on the
you
inside.
spell your
Ken, are
name
you
for
picking
us?
this up?
I am. Yes,
Rosemary Ellen Guiley is a world-renowned best-selling author on the paranormal, metaphysics, and spiritual science. Her works have been translated into 12 languages and published around the world.
The presence of discarnate entities is associated with sudden drops in temperature. That kind of reading on the equipment I would take as the presence of something that was manifesting in space.
Are you a child?
17. Yes.
Are you a young child?
Are you a child?
Okay, we're getting.
Are you a child?
19.
Are you a child? Are you guys doing this?
This should be.
No. Are you a
Are
child?
you a child?
Yes. Are you a child?
Are you a child? Are you a child? That's right in my face. It's right in my face. Are you a child? Are you a child? Are you a child?
Okay, 25
Are
degrees.
you a child?
20 degrees.
Are you a child? We think it's a female child.
Female child, well then it's going to have a difficulty spelling anything out if
It
that's
said
the
it
case.
couldn't spell its name.
You're going to have that problem with it.
Doesn't know how old it is.
Do you know your name?
You can't spell
Do
it.
you know your name? Do you know your name?
About 15 degrees. I got a major chill right here. We got 14 degrees on Charlie.
Do you know your name?
She knows
She's a
her
child.
and she's a child.
Are you alone?
Tilt that towards me.
Keep that going, Teresa. Just
Are
like
you
that.
alone?
At 12 degrees on
Well, if I told Troy I'm
Are
picking
you
up their face,
alone?
so you're going to have to do the best you
What'd
can.
you say, Mike? Are you alone?
15 degrees.
I have a really cold spot right on my shoulder, my left shoulder. Are you alone?
You didn't know it. You probably got about
She doesn't know how old she is.
She's not alone.
Not alone.
Probably taking more than that,
She's
right?
not by herself. She's
not alone.
Okay, now we're getting somewhere.
Are you the girl from the
Okay,
wagon?
there you go.
Are you the girl from the wagon?
What kind of reactions were we getting on specific questions?
We were getting some serious spikes off of our baseline to are you female? Are you alone? And are there others? And they were serious changes.
Every time they asked a question on the Ouija board, we had a definite visible light change every time.
Has that happened to you before?
No, not like that, not that drastic.
What kind of readings were you getting?
Oh, it would go up and then it dropped way down and then it would go back up again, and something is changing it, but I can't tell you what it is because all we have is moonlight. The moonlight is not changing.
What did you feel while we were doing that?
I didn't really feel anything specific, just a little bit chilled. But I felt more chilled after it was all over and standing up. I just couldn't get warm. I was chilling all over.
It actually felt like a cold spot, almost. I mean, it was a very specific area, a very small area, but it felt ice cold.
When we were here setting up, it was about sundown. Amy pulled out her Polaroid and started snapping these photos. Did you feel anything in the area, or were you just taking general pictures?
Just taking general pictures.
Now here's here's one of the photos that you took. This was along around just before dark at around 8:15 or 8:30. Troy, isn't this similar to the phenomena that you were getting in some of yours?
That's the same kind of stuff we've gotten on 35 millimeter, and frankly, we've never gotten anything on Polaroid before. We've had that camera only a short time, but it's a higher end Polaroid. We hoped it would pick up some better stuff, and apparently it has.
I felt, at one point, I felt an icy touch, almost like an ice cube right here on the back of my left shoulder. I felt chilled several times, probably 4 or 5 times during our experiment with the Ouija board. I felt sort of an anger and sort of a distress, like unexplainable. Why, I don't know. Sort of like, you're waiting for a cab or you're waiting for, your plane's late at an airport or something.
Apprehensive?
Yes, very apprehensive.
How heavy did you have your fingers on the planchette?
It was very lightly. In fact, sometimes my hand would come off a little bit, and I think, I put it back on, and it just moved. I couldn't explain that. I couldn't explain that. It's kind of scary.
After a lengthy analysis by Tim Hart and the rest of the Mesa design team, the following are the results of the sensor recordings during the seance at Graveyard X. The graphs shown indicate various recordings of Mesa for 6 of the sensor readings during the seance. Notice how they are all picking up a variety of activity. The ultraviolet sensor revealed activity at the same point where the seance began, approximately between 1 and 1.5 hours into the sampling. It jumps to almost 5.4 milliwatts per centimeter squared. Then it stays quite level until after 1.5 hours, which was during the first break in the seance. It then records erratic readings. There is no apparent reason why the ultraviolet light should change like this when it is totally dark. Tim Hart and his associates found this unexplainable. The raw 0 to 5 volt sensor reveals the voltage changes that occurred between 0 and 5 volts during the experiment. As you can see by the graph, there is a huge spike at about 2.25 hours into the experiment. This is also unexplainable. The most astounding and inexplicable readings from Mesa were recorded by the visible sensors. Between 1 and 1.5 hours, the readings become very unusual, reacting violently though in total darkness. Then just after 2 hours in, it flatlines. Now, within the graveyard's dark confines, the computer was actually sampling data. From 0, it then slowly climbs past 50, then shoots up to 126 foot candles. This clearly indicates actual visual changes occurring during the time of the seance, which made no sense to everyone as they strained to pierce the pitch black of night. These static field sensor readings are perhaps almost as unusual as those of the visible and ultraviolet range. The 3 sensors measured natural Earth field changes from 0 to 0.5 hertz. The first climbs and then peaks at the 1.25 hour mark, right where the sensor began. The second one peaks just before the 1 hour mark. Then there is a precipitous drop at the 2.25 hour mark. This is inexplicable. The next sensor maintains minor responses and then spikes as well at the 2.25 hour mark again. As you can see by the combination of these graphs, they are all providing strange readings. The anomalies captured using the Generation 3 night vision provide a significant and startling discovery. Look carefully at the apparition over the graves in the photograph taken by Troy Taylor on Kodak color film months before. Now take a close look at the exact same image shape taken with special night vision during one frame of 1/30th of a second when a camera flash occurred. The shape over Charlie's shoulder where he stated he felt a sudden chill and where Troy picked up a below freezing temperature reading appears to emulate the still photo taken earlier. The video footage was later submitted for analysis by Bob Schott to major independent corporations that specialize in infrared and electro-optics and are manufacturers and providers of advanced defense technologies for the United States military. While neither company would go on camera to disclose their findings, due in part to their sensitive relationships with government and military clients, the following statements were issued to Bob Schott with regards to the anomalous energy patterns captured on tape and night vision. As you know, B.E. Myers & Company has been a manufacturer of night vision for more than 20 years, and I believe we have a great deal of experience in analyzing images taken through night vision. I have viewed the video supplied and have no explanation for the black spot. This seems to be an abnormality that is not consistent with any known case that we have seen in the past. It is truly an unexplainable phenomenon. B.E. Myers Electro-Optics. It was noticed that despite the flash being used approximately 10 times, the image only shows up on a small number of the video frames in which the flash was being used from behind the night vision device. It is typical that once charged with initial flashes, that the ion barrier film would no longer demonstrate the symptom until fully discharged. What is curious, of course, is that there is corroborative evidence from the 35mm film that this image was present. If the black cloud image was due solely to intrinsic issues related to the image intensifier, then it should not have evidenced itself on the 35mm film. I have no solid explanation for what is seen on the film. Alan Harding, Litton Electro-Optics. As always, Bob had the Omega OS521 thermal temperature gun submitted for calibration before and after the investigation. The following certificate of calibration was provided stating exact specifications of accuracy. Newport Electronics Incorporated certifies that the above instrumentation has been calibrated to meet or exceed the published specifications. This calibration was performed following practices and standards established by the United States National Institute of Standards and Technology. Was this image the face of a little pioneer girl whose passing gave rise to this Graveyard X, now peering from her realm into ours? Or did we, during that 1/30th of a second, capture and document for posterity the fleeting instant that two worlds were one? Whatever happened this night, one thing is sure. Adventures Beyond knocked, and something peeked from behind a door that an open mind will not permit to close again.
Are you the girl from the wagon?
There you go.
Are you the girl from the wagon?
As you have witnessed throughout Adventures Beyond, technology perceived what the eyes could not, and what could be felt, the equipment confirmed. However, neither man nor machine can identify what senses or sensors have experienced.
The Adventures Beyond team must keep a tight hold of their wits as they prepare to grapple with their next and most macabre investigation from within a castle's walls and haunted halls which beckon to them from over the ocean and a continent away. In an ongoing quest for mysteries of the unexplained, the Adventures Beyond team arrives in a land steeped with legends and lore, ancient Scotland. Though rich with many sights to see, our investigators are hoping to sight the unseen. In the Dark Ages, the iron-fisted men who fought English invaders for these lands made their homes in palaces of stone. The murder and violence associated with some of these fortresses has left an indelible imprint upon foreboding castles that stand as everlasting links to a period of violence, warfare, and medieval mysticism. Adventures Beyond leader Bob Schott has come here to explore the most celebrated of these terrifying legends, all too chillingly real in this modern day. Historian and author Martin Coventry is an authority on Scotland's ancient castles. Bob is in search of a confrontation with whatever evil energies still stir to rally upon these ramparts or breach these battlements.
I'm looking for the most evil castle in Europe, which brings us to the one you were talking about.
Hermitage Castle is definitely one of the most oppressive castles in Scotland. It's got a very bad atmosphere. It was built in the 12th and 13th century mostly, and it's on the border with Scotland and England, so it was fought over a lot by the Scots and the English.
Right.
In the 13th century it was held by the de Soulis family. One of the family was called Bad Lord Soulis, and he was believed to be a sorcerer and warlock, and that his presence has often been felt there, as is the ghost of Mary Queen of Scots. When the castle was owned by the Hepburns, Earls of Bothwell, one of whom eventually married Mary, she visited him there from Jedburgh, and her ghost is said also to have been seen there.
Well, we've heard stories of strange sounds, a phantom that walks the grounds. We're talking about the Soulis, who practiced black witchcraft,
yes.
Sacrificed humans, sacrificed animals, and we've heard that people who have gone in there during the daytime come out of it with a feeling of that something overcame them almost, as if they walked into the devil's den, so to speak.
Yes, in many castles where somebody particularly evil who practiced sorcery and witchcraft has lived also seems to leave a presence and frighten people in many of these different places.
We're the only ones that have permission to spend the night in there. What I want to do is take our equipment in there, and if there's anything in there, I want to see if we can shake it up.
Well, rather you than me.
Without a doubt, Hermitage Castle is one of the most haunted places in Europe. In my book, it certainly is the most haunted castle in the United Kingdom, and that's saying a lot because there are some very spooky places in that country. I do believe there's something at Hermitage awaiting to awaken.
Many experts believe spirits are trapped between this world and the next, searching for a way to return to this life. The custodian of Hermitage Castle tells Bob the ruins have a sinister history.
I've heard many stories of strange happenings. Other custodians have had some really strange experiences. One of them, who was a very honest person, was said to have been pursued through the field when he was on his moped. Another one very sadly died here. Another became gravely ill and died.
When I looked away to my right, I seen the shadow of a man standing here. And when he got an arm's length from us, I stepped to the side and disappeared in the wall behind us.
So this is the area to the dungeon right here, the entrance.
Yes, this is the place that you're going to be able to spend the night listening out for and looking in. And I can tell you that I wouldn't be wanting to accompany you here. In the years that I've been here, you're the only people who have collected the key. A number of people have made appointments and have asked and have had permission to visit the castle and stay here overnight, but nobody until now, in my knowledge, through all the years that this castle has been in the care of Historic Scotland, has actually spent the night in the castle. And I do assume that they have heard from somebody, perhaps locally, the evil reputation that this place has, and they just can't quite face the idea of spending the night here, because it is said to mark people. You are supposed afterwards never to be quite the same again.
As the tour ends, Bob is joined by paranormal investigators and authors John and Ann Spencer, two experts with the courage of their convictions.
Apparently people refused to come with you.
137 of them turned me down when they found out where I was coming. So-called experts, they want to talk the talk, they don't want to walk the walk, you know.
Jenny turns over the keys to the castle and quickly leaves Bob and the team, unconvinced of the wisdom of spending the night inside these ancient stone walls that have witnessed unspeakable horrors.
This is reported by many authors on the paranormal as being one of the most evil and haunted castles possibly in the world. So what we're going to do is see what we can find here with this equipment. Well, right now it's about 11:45, and we have the keys to this place. We're the only ones that have spent the night in here. I don't know what we're going to find, but we'll sure make an effort. We've got a lot of ground to cover. This is about a 3.5-story castle. So most of the areas that were reported as having unusual phenomenon associated with it were the pit and were this lower level area here that's underneath the little tunnel that we come in. John, we'll go ahead and put the ultrasonic transmitter, set it on 20 to 30,000 hertz up at the pit area to send out those frequencies. Ann's also going to put the frankincense incense up there, and that's been reported as being somewhat of an exciter in cases like these and is associated with the occult. And she's also going to put the Ouija board, right, Ann?
I've also got the Ouija board. I'm going to put that in the kitchen area. We'll leave it for a while just by itself. I'll leave it on the letter G, and we'll see if there's any spontaneous movement before we get down to using it ourselves.
Why don't you split us up where you want us?
Okay, well, like you're saying, that's a good idea. So if two people are up this end, then you'll be covering the murder area, looking down on the Ouija board, but not affecting the movement sensor or anything. There's some great sounds at the moment.
That's
bats.
bats.
Using their own ultrasound.
You know what's causing it?
Actually, we may be triggering.
Well, the ultrasonic, that's interesting. The ultrasonic transmitter is reaching them.
Yeah.
Because they have the most advanced sonar and radar sensors of any biological entity.
All right, I just plugged this in. It's a normal cable. I stuck it in here, and basically I got a warning light on the camera, and this was heated up quickly, and now I would just suspect, I mean, I need to turn off everything, but I would suspect that the camera is fried. This is a 4-pin cable that powers the camera, and feel the cable, feel how hot it is. Well, see, the thing is the only bizarre thing is that, you know, it wasn't touched. Yeah, it wasn't attached to the battery either.
The cable was not attached to the battery?
The cable was not attached to the battery.
Well, earlier on, when the equipment was being taken out of the cases and getting ready, I saw a flash of light on this wall here. Now, I wasn't sure where it was coming from. Everyone was in the room. I couldn't see how the lights were coming out of there and bouncing onto that wall.
While we were having camera trouble in there, I was talking to you. You were standing behind me, facing into the room. I looked over your shoulder, big flash of light here on the wall. And everyone, I mean, I quickly looked back, everyone was facing into the room. Most of them were looking at the camera. I couldn't see a source for that light. Very clear. And as we came out to look at that, then the camera came back on again.
As a portion of the team's modern sensor technology, seemingly already susceptible to unknown influences, Bob decides it's time to employ a more traditional sensing tool, the Ouija board, in an attempt to make contact.
Well, it hasn't moved since you've put it there, has it, Ann?
No, we're still on G, so nothing's happening this way.
All right, why don't we try it the old-fashioned way then? What we're going to do is an old-fashioned seance here with John and Ann and Al. So why don't we set this up and we'll have 3 cameras going. Ken, why don't you move that into here to back to where it was, and I'll set the night vision going there, and you can run your Canon from there. We'll just put it right here where we had it.
As the team reaches out to communicate, the high-tech Omega heat sensor reacts wildly to temperature variations in the surrounding stone walls. Has the seance triggered a response?
11.
We're at?
Right here.
That shouldn't happen, Ken. I haven't got anything more than a 4-degree difference all night long, and I had that thing with me for an hour.
8 degrees, 5 degrees, 4 degrees.
Keep it going, Ken.
2 degrees.
Any life forms. There's something around here then.
Then as dawn arrives, the anomalous disturbances cease. The team moves back into daylight.
It's Monday, June 23rd at about 5:30 a.m. We've just spent the night in Hermitage Castle. We had several things happen that we can't explain. One of them in particular had to do with the camera, other than the noises that Ann and I heard and the strange flash of light that John saw. This all happened within 15 to 20 minutes of the camera going out.
Have long departed life forces been disturbed by the presence of Bob and the team? Why did the camera fail and just as suddenly work again? What did John and Ann see and hear in the darkness? What caused the walls to warm, then cool in a matter of seconds?
There was a feeling of something there.
And it merits further investigation.
Before chancing a second night's stay in the castle, psychic expert and author Eddie Burks is summoned to Hermitage. He quickly senses the horror here.
From a psychic point of view, it's a very powerful spot, this area here. And I think it's linked with events of the past. It's very difficult to stand in this area because of the chill. It's not a chill in the air in the ordinary sense. It's something much colder. Thank you.
Inside, Eddie.
Yes.
As Eddie and Bob move inside, Burke's sense of dread deepens.
What are you picking up here, Eddie?
An oppressive feeling. Tears, great distress.
Male, female?
There was a female connotation to it. She had maidservants, so she must have been of some importance.
Could this be the spirit imprint of Mary, Queen of Scots?
Oh, it's horrible.
You all right?
Yeah. Tremendously threatening.
What are you feeling right here in this spot?
I say terror and horror, threatening.
The deeper they move into the fortress, Burke's sense of gloom grows.
Do you sense any evil in this place?
Oh, there's plenty of evil in this place, yes. I'm sort of protecting myself from it.
Eddie, can you pick up on where that evil could be coming from? In other words, would it be coming from an evil individual? Or do you think it's an evil energy?
This man, I touched very lightly upon him then, but he's in darkness. He's in darkness. Not a place I would want to go to. But it's as though there's a thread from this place to where he is.
So are you saying it's an imprint? Or is it live actual energy that you're picking up?
The evil, I think, is mainly an imprint, but it has been followed by other evil things.
Emboldened by their previous night's experience, the castle custodian risks confronting more than just her fear during the team's final frightening foray.
Jenny, is that window there, did it used to have a floor beneath it?
Yes, that was the room. If Mary had been visiting Bothwell, as indeed she was said to be, she would have been in that room and possibly at that very window. That could be a reason why the temperature is different.
Temperature in the air hasn't changed in the last hour. Okay, there's no wind that's changed in the last hour. There's no rain out there. And that temperature has changed in the last 5 minutes as we're standing here watching it.
Yeah.
And that's the only place in the castle we're getting a reading below 39 degrees.
Yeah.
Let me see that a second. Hold your finger on it. Got it. Okay, Ken, follow me with this.
Okay.
Tell me when you're on it.
I'm on it.
I'm getting, right now it's dropping 22, 23. I got 15.
It's 16, 14.
13, 15. I'm going to the left now, Ken. 5, 4, 8, 7, 6. There's no reason for that. 7, 5, 3 degrees, 5 degrees. We got it now. 7, 10, 7, 10, 9, 8, 11, 8, 7, 5, 3 degrees, 4. Something's got that going.
Continuing investigation of the exterior of the castle, something appeared moving in an upward direction. Watch closely as the apparition moves from right to left diagonally across the frame. Notice in slow motion that the image is transparent and tends to leave a slight hueish trail behind it. As the image passes by the frame of the night vision, although it appears to be giving off an intense light of sorts, does not change the ambient lighting around it. With an advanced photocathode inside the night vision device, any light appearing in the objective lens of the camera would have a direct effect on the entire image that the night vision is recording. The video footage was later submitted for analysis to two major independent corporations that specialize in infrared and electro-optics and are manufacturers and providers of advanced defense technologies for the United States military. The question has been raised as to what kind of energy would do this. The following statements were issued with regards to the anomalous energy patterns captured on tape and night vision. I have viewed the video supplied and have no explanation. This seems to be an abnormality that is not consistent with any known case that we have seen in the past. It is truly an unexplained phenomenon. B.E. Myers, Electro-Optics. I have no logical explanation to offer. Alan Harding, Litton Electro-Optics. Did something communicate with the Adventures Beyond team?
If you wanted to take it on, how could you do it?
Well, for a start, I wouldn't want to take it on.
The team's presence seems to have awakened some unseen but most certainly felt energy forms within these cold castle corridors.
What if I want to find out who's going to win?
Then I think you could be damaged in the process. Before you issue that challenge, you've got to be sure you know what it is you're going to lose if you lose.
I don't think about losing.
That wouldn't stop you losing.